So my name, which isn't up on the slide, is Jacob Aldridge. I'm a business coach who doesn't believe that business coaching works. What that broadly means is that if you've come across business coaching as a phrase, and it's a fairly new piece of terminology that a lot of people are using in the marketplace, a lot of people hang their hat on coaching as being a be-all and end-all. That's not something that I believe in. I think it's one way of going into businesses, consulting, training, coaching, or otherwise transferring knowledge into an organisation so that they can have a different awareness, do things better, or generally make more money, have more time, or have business owners who are a lot less stressed but still achieving the same outcome. Talking to you tonight on the topic of business risk and how it differs from financial risk, which most of us are sort of familiar with. It's Financial Planning Week in the UK this week. A lot of us know financial risk from a personal investment perspective, and a lot of us know risk in a business sense when we talk about compliance, things like making sure that you've got insurances up to date and that sort of thing. I want to talk about risk at more of a board level, at a strategic level. When you're making big investment decisions to grow your business, how do you manage a risk profile across the business so that you get the biggest bang for your buck? A little bit about my background. I came out of private equity and property, but my real passion is business. So I'm building my business, and the way I do that is by working with a whole lot of other businesses to help grow their business. When I started doing this back in 2006, I fairly quickly aligned with a company called Shirlaws, who you'll see on the slide with the baby. Big reason I wanted to affiliate my business with Shirlaws was because they came out of the funds management background. So they weren't a touchy-feely, let's have a conversation kind of training, coaching company. They were very much, how do we build equity? How do we get business owners to not just make more money this year, but make it ongoing so that they can sell their business for a lot more? And one of the key filters that I use around that is what we call business risk. So broadly, I said I'm a business coach who doesn't believe in business coaching, which is kind of about there being other ways of sharing information that may be more useful. So tonight is not a coaching session, it's much more of a training session, and I've got a little bit of an exercise to sort of explain the framework my team uses to run through business risk. And I know we've got a lot of people here who are business owners or they're looking at setting up startups, and this can be a useful exercise to do and a really valuable conversation that I'd encourage you to do when you start working with co-founders or investors, those sort of people. As I mentioned, financial risks tend to be more clearly understood. Business risk is a bit more amorphous. We're not quite sure about it. And this manifests itself in a number of ways that can really hold your business back. So if you think about a business that maybe has 2 or 3 shareholders, and one of them is the CEO. The CEO has a risk profile of, say, 8 out of 10, and the other shareholders all have a risk profile of 4 out of 10. They're going to sit there in business meetings. The CEO is going to want to run with things, take risks, make opportunities happen, and they're going to feel held back by those other investors. Conversely, the other investors are going to want to play it safe and are going to feel that the CEO is reckless, endangering the strength of the company and all of those sort of things. So the simple way, the exercise that I wanted to share really gives you a risk profile between 0 and 10. And there's no right or wrong, it's just about having an awareness as to your risk profile. If you're in business with other people, managers, staff, co-founders, shareholders, what's their risk profile? How do they differ? And then can you set a risk profile for the business so that you can all operate using that information rather than having lots of different disagreements and arguments when these problems start to show up. So here's the exercise. I won't call for volunteers, but I will share my information at the end. When we look at business risk, we look at 4 different areas of business risk, which are the 4 that sit up there: investment risk, returns risk, the volatility risk, and management risk. And I'm going to walk you through each of these, and in each of these different areas, I'm going to encourage you to work out for yourself what your score is, from a 0, which is very, very low risk, all the way up to a 10, which is very, very high risk. So if we start with investment risk, green box. Your profile around investment risk is the level of due diligence that you personally require before you will make an investment. Now, in a business context, investment is generally an investment in strategy. So it might be hiring staff, it might be deciding to expand, invest in new products or new markets. Whenever you go to make an investment of money or time in your business, how much due diligence do you require? So again, a score of sort of 1 in this would be an awful lot of due diligence. You really need to make sure that all of the information is there, all of the ducks are in a row. Whereas a 10 means that you come along tonight and I'll sell you something and you'll be in. So how quickly do you make decisions? How much information do you need before you make a decision? So if you score that on a scale of 1 to 10, the next one is returns risk. So the scale for returns risk is, well, what size of return are you chasing? Are you someone who is constantly chasing only the highest returns, in which case your score might be 8, 9, 10? How big an outcome are you looking for? Or are you someone who likes to play it safe, likes to feel more comfortable, in which case maybe you're a 3 or a 4? And you start to see as we go through these 4 areas that there's different aspects of risk, and you may have been quite conservative on the first box. You might want a lot of information, but you want a lot of information because you're chasing high returns. Just because you're high in one of these areas doesn't mean you're high across all 4. Third box is volatility risk. So this is asking you to measure for yourself, your business, what level of volatility are you willing to put up with? If you invest in a new product, are you going to back it to the hilt? In which case you might be quite high on this. Or are you far more concerned? If you launch a new product and it doesn't take off immediately, do you cancel it, trash it, throw it in the corner and go looking for the next big idea? Then the final of the 4 boxes is management risk. So once you've made an investment in your business, what level of management do you expect to have over that? Are you somebody who wants to tick all the boxes, get constant reports, and in which case you might be quite conservative, you keep an eye on your investments quite closely? Or are you a high number on this scale, in which case you're quite happy to let the investments ride, you trust once you've done the due diligence, you've made the information, that you don't need to manage it anymore. And you can pull all of these together and end up with a business risk profile for yourself. So the one that I've got up on the screen there is my personal business risk profile, which is overall it's a 6.2. In terms of investment risk, you see that I'm a little bit higher. One of the ways that that's manifested itself is that after starting my business in Australia, setting it up in Australia, I handed it over to my team and came to set it up again in the UK in the middle of the greatest depression of the last 100 years. So that's a fair amount of risk-taking in that sort of thing. And the reason I did that, which is what you can see in the red box, is that I'm looking for the high returns. The Australian economy is quite strong at the moment. There's really a lot more opportunities here in London. And I got sick of telling people that there were more opportunities in London while I was sitting in Australia, so I put my money where my mouth was and I came over here. I was chasing the opportunity. That was a big risk. And part of the training that I get is when you then look at my volatility risk, which is a little bit lower, it means I'm a little bit concerned when things don't go perfectly. And I manage my investments quite closely. If you put all of those together as an average, you can end up with a single number, which is the 6.2, that's sitting up the top of that slide, which is my personal relationship to risk. Now here in the UK, I share the Shirlaws business with 50 other business coaches, my business partners, and some of those are lower than where I am. A lot of those are much higher a risk profile than where I am. We could have developed quite a dysfunctional business had we just had a lot of conversations regarding strategy, regarding investments, without having this sort of information. The fact that we have this information means that we can set a risk profile for the business. So Shirlaws in the UK has a specific risk profile of 8, where a high-risk company, we want to take chances, we want to grow really fast. And that means that for somebody like me, who's a 6.2 as opposed to an 8, I have to be willing to invest in a business that's going to take chances that maybe I don't feel quite as comfortable with as if I were doing them myself. And conversely, we've got guys and gals on our team who've got risk profiles of 9 and 10, they really want to get going. And we normally do two things with those. They either learn to calm down a little bit, or we pat them on the back and suggest that they're the ones who go and open up our offices in Dubai or Vancouver or Spain, which a lot of them have gone and done. A simple little example, which is what I used before. When you've got more than one person in a business, particularly if they're different stakeholders, having different risk profiles can lead to a whole lot of disharmony and just general discussions and conversations that go round and round in circles and hold your business back. Whereas having a piece of awareness can allow you to make a decision for the business independent of all of the individuals. And as a result, the decisions that are made through that business risk profile generally create a better outcome, or at the very least a faster outcome for your organisation moving forward. So it's a very, very simple little exercise that you can do to go through for yourself. And as I say, if you've got co-founders, investors, people on your board, it can be a simple, quick little thing that you can all run through. There are a couple of other factors that are slightly more complicated, because obviously you're making risk decisions. When you give yourself a score between 1 and 10, it's you giving yourself that score. It's not quite as objective. One of the ways we've really seen this show up over the last 4 years is that when there's a downturn, when there's a recession, suddenly the natural instinct, even of entrepreneurs, is to shrink their risk profile. So whereas in the boom time, they were quite happy being an 8 or a 9 or a 10 because nothing could possibly go wrong. When the markets tumbled, when Lehman Brothers collapsed, suddenly all of these entrepreneurs were 4s and 5s. They were making very different decisions, but they were reacting to external stimuli instead of making a conscious decision themselves. What we encourage a lot of businesses to do back in 2007, 2008 was to stick with their risk profile. The decisions that they made might have been different as a result of changing economic circumstances, but if you want to run your business at an 8, keep running your business at an 8, because that's the only way that you're really going to run it yourself. So the numbers you've got down the side, where I've got a 2 and a 6 in my example, the 2 is how your risk profile feels to you right now. Are you feeling very, very comfortable? The 2 sitting there for me means that I am actually feeling very, very comfortable in my business, probably quite bored, because the next number down is what my underlying risk profile is. So my underlying risk profile is a 6, I'm running at a 6.2, that's fairly comfortable, and as a result that 2 shows up. Now the risk for me in that situation is that I'm going to get bored and I'm going to start taking some really big risky chances just to feel the excitement. What my board needs to do is hold me back and keep me to the risk profile that we've agreed. So there's the exercise that I've run you through, which can be very, very simple, but does lack a level of objectivity, a bit of a third party to sit there and go, well, we reckon underlying you're this risk profile, but you may be running slightly differently because of external circumstances. And one of the offers that I made, had a conversation with Eddie about, is that we've actually built an online risk indicator, which is 25 quid to take, but it will give you that information, and it will also give you, if you have co-founders, investors, board members, take it as well. It will give you an objective view of all of your risk profiles, and because the exercise I've shared with you tonight is free, and that's 25 quid, I'm more than happy to organise to catch up with you one-on-one, or if there are 2 or more of you decision makers in the business, catch up with you afterwards to sort of have a discussion of the results and sort of give some of the external advice. I must just say thank you for investing the £25. There are my contact details, but I'll bring it back to probably that slide and see if there are any questions in what I've just blasted you through.
Do you have any questions for...
Hi there, I'm just interested in the fact that you're saying people's profiles shrink when there's a financial crisis. It feels to me like there's something that's not quite capturing there, because you're going through a situation where before they had a high risk profile, but they didn't believe that the risk was going to go wrong, and afterwards they thought it might. It feels to me like maybe their risk profile is really staying the same, and it's just what changed was their belief in what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think that probably is why we sort of got that vision, plans, goals, underlying risk profile there, which is a 6 on that slide, can and often does differ to the purple box at the top. Because your underlying might be a 6, but in a boom time you run as if it's an 8, because everything feels really, really easy. And when it hits the fan, you run it at a 4, because suddenly everything looks really, really hard. In reality, you're right, Dan, the underlying is still kind of the same, you just behave differently. And if you've got employees, that can be really, really fun, because they join a business that's going gangbusters, and there's a whole lot of risks being taken. There's no management, there's no accountability, projects get implemented and everyone has a kind of cruisy time, and then 6 months in, suddenly everything's getting smacked down and they're getting asked to do detailed charts on a Friday, and then they sit there and go, this isn't the company that I joined. Because you've been responding to external circumstances more than having an objective idea of what it is that your business is doing. Good spot.
Okay, thanks, Jake.